I think it's about time we talk about Rotation 2024, which is coming up maybe a little bit sooner than you had expected. We're going to go through some of the cards that are going to be rotating out, how that might change the meta at the moment. These are the cards you probably don't want to be spending your wildcards on right now. Okay, let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So we're going to talk about Rotation 2024. So normally this will happen in September. Around September is when the next standard set would come out, and then the last kind of the four oldest standard sets will go away. So at the moment in standard, we have everything going back to Innistrad. Midnight Hunt is, the current standard. We're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to lose all of those sets. And there are some very important cards in those sets we're going to lose. It's going to make a big impact on lots of different popular decks at the moment. And the reason why it's happening earlier than normal is because when Bloomburrow comes out at the end of July, it's going to be in the next block. So we have basically from Capenna is the end of that block. Then we have Dominaria, Brothers War, Phyrexia, and then both March of the Machines are the next four. And then we have Wilds of Eldraine, Ixalan, Call of Mana, and then Big Score and Outlaws is together. So that's the next four. So we're going to move on to the next block, which means the previous ones are going to drop off. So let's have a look at what cards we're actually losing from these sets and how it's going to impact things. So we're going to run through these very quickly. I want you to let me know in the comments below which of these cards you're happy to be seeing leave and which of these cards maybe make you the saddest and affect you the most. There's going to be very strong reactions on both sides, I can imagine. So, yes, let's go through these really quickly. We have Lunarch Veteran, so life gain decks are taking a really big hit. There are other things that can help you with life gain, like the case of the Uneaten Feast that can give you life, and there's some other things as well. But life gain decks are going to take a bit of a hit. We're going to lose Giada Font of Hope, which means that angel decks are going to be much weaker than before. We're losing some ramp, we're losing a decent creature, and we're losing all the +1 counters of extra angels coming in. So I don't know if we're going to see many angel decks after Giada has gone. We're going to lose Illuminator Virtuoso, which is one of those really annoying either red and white or blue and white decks where you're going to protect Virtuoso or make him really, really strong. Really good for budget decks. I've used it. I like it. It's so frustrating to play against, especially the white and blue version. So, yeah, we're going to be losing Virtuoso. The saddest one of all, maybe, is we're losing the dog. We're losing Spirited Companion. I really like this creature. Draws you a card. It's an enchantment. It enables other things. I'm sad to see him go. And it's a silly little card, to be honest, but it's great for budget decks. It's a really great value card. So, yeah, we're losing him. We're losing Thalia, which means the mono-white human decks or soldier decks are going to take a bit of a hit as well. So we're going to see them lose a bit of power. We're also losing Voice of the Blessed. So the life gain decks are also losing not just the Veteran, but Voice of the Blessed as well. There are other things you can do with life gain decks. So I think they will stick around, but they're obviously losing one of their key pieces. We've also got Wedding Announcement is going. It's been around like forever, but it's going to go now. So those token decks and control decks and things that use Wedding Announcement, they're going to be gone. Adeline as well. Again, human decks taking a bit of a hit. Hallowed Haunting, we don't see it too much, but when you do, it's really, really powerful. Enchantments, there's so many enchantments in this kind of block that are going out that Hallowed Haunting is going to be taking a hit anyway. The Wandering Emperor, maybe the one that you're most happy about. Probably not, actually. There's probably something coming up later that you're more happy about. But yeah, obviously, control decks are taking a massive hit. They're going to lose the Wandering Emperor. Really big piece. As is Farewell. This might be one of the most hated cards. There's a few others I can think of coming up. This might be one of the most hated cards, especially if you don't play control. You probably hate this so much. Yeah, graveyard combos, anything that controls the graveyard and can destroy pretty much anything is it's a really tough card to beat. If you're not playing control, you don't have a counterspell, you can't stop this. So yeah, it's gonna go. Saying farewell to Farewell. And then we also have March of Otherworldly Light, a really, really useful card in those white-blue control decks as well. So, taking a really big hit. Otherworldly Gaze isn't a massive card by itself, but it does really help graveyard combos and sifting through your deck. So we're going to lose that. So it's going to affect some of the current combo style decks. And then we have Memory Deluge as well, a massive, massive hit for control decks. Because on turn 4, they're going to either play a Wandering Emperor or they're going to play a Memory Deluge. If they don't need the Emperor, they're going to play the Deluge. They're going to be able to flash it back later on, get loads of cards, pick from like a huge number of cards in their deck. Really powerful card for control decks, but we're going to lose it. Then we have Lear. We don't see Lear very much at the moment. It used to be one of the big cards in blue control decks, along with Hullbreaker Horror. Such a frustrating combo to play against those two cards. They're just so strong together when you have loads of instants and sorceries in the graveyard. But yeah, it's going. We've got March of Swirling Mist. Doesn't see as much play as maybe some of the other cards, but in a toxic deck, in a Rot Priest deck, this can basically kind of win you the game on the spot. Also, is really good for a mono blue Jin tempo kind of deck. So yeah, we're going to lose that one. We're losing Jadar, which I mean, zombies haven't had that much of a kind of time in the spotlight. But in a sacrifice style deck, Jadar is really, really good at making those zombies every turn. So yeah, we're going to lose Jadar. Tenacious Underdog sees still quite a bit of play in black and Golgari decks. So we're going to lose Underdog. Graveyard Trespasser used to be the best 3-drop in mono black kind of mid-range decks. We're losing it. The Ward Discard a card was so powerful. The turning into a 4/4 that also gains you life and controls the graveyard. Really, really powerful. But it's going. Path of Peril, really good for dealing with those wide open boards, the Boros Convoke, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're going to lose a pretty good early board wipe in black. I know we have Deadly Cover-Up, which is really, really good, but something this to deal with smaller creatures in black is really useful. We're going to lose Cemetery Desecrator, which doesn't see that much play apart from in that Invasion of Alara combo deck, which I haven't seen very much recently, but that deck's going to be done. This is like a key piece from that deck, so that's just not going to exist anymore. Then we've got March of Wretched Sorrow, which is a really good way of dealing with creatures and planeswalkers and gaining life. I really like that in black decks, especially when you're against things like mono red, because you can just gain that extra bit of life just to keep yourself alive. But yeah, it's going. Then we have Kamano faces Kakazan. Is this the one you're happiest about? Because I think it might be. Some people would definitely be happiest about this one going. So it's like the best one drop in a mono red aggro deck, and it's going. So yeah, I don't know what's going to replace it. Obviously, there's like the show off and things like that happening at the moment, which maybe don't need mono quite as much. So I guess mono red's not going to die off with this, but it's going to take a bit of a hit. We've got Bloodthirsty Adversary, which also gets used quite a bit in burn decks when you've got a good instant or sorcery in the graveyard, probably a lightning strike, to finish you off at the end. So it's good that that one's going. There's lots of other things in mono red that's going to replace it, so it's not a massive difference to mono red. Then we've got Atsushi, the Blazing Sky. I haven't seen it a huge amount, but dragons are really good. This ramping is really good. 4/4 Flying Trample is not too bad to start with, so it's a good card. It's going to go. We're not going to see it anymore. Then we've got Burn Down the House. This has been used a lot in the past. I haven't seen it quite as much recently, but a really good board wipe in red. We are losing. And my personal most sad departure, apart from, actually no, Spirited Companion is the worst. But apart from that, we have Arcane Bombardment. Now, you don't see it that much, but it's so fun to play. I think since Get Lost came out, because it's a very, very common, easy way of removing enchantments, which is very versatile. You don't see it very much. It's quite hard to make it work, but it is fun, and we're going to lose it. It's not going to be a thing anymore. Generous Visitor is going. So in Kamigawa, we have pretty much almost all of the cards that really enable the Selesnya enchantment deck. It's going to go. So that whole deck is just wiped out. With the Spirited Companion, with Generous Visitor, and some other cards coming up, it's just gone. It's not going to be a thing at all, which I'm kind of sad about. And there you go. There's Kami of Transience as well, which is another massive piece in that deck. It's gone. Shigeki Jukai Visionary is good in quite a few decks where you sift through all of your cards, put them in the graveyard, you can pick things back out. It's good in the Katima ramp deck, that kind of thing. But that's also going to take a massive hit as well, so Shigeki is going to be gone. Fight rigging, I really like. There's been loads of ways of enabling this with kind of like three drop creatures with 6 power. So 2-drop. Yeah, there's the ancient one, which is like an 8/8 2-drop, which is hard to make work because of the colors. But being able to cast things for free using fight rigging has been a huge thing for a while. So that's gone now. We've got Kodama of the West Tree. Now, mono green isn't really that strong, but the best mono green deck I've seen recently, I think, has been the one where you go from Evolving Adaptive into the Beast Caller into Kodama, and you start hitting and ramping, and everything's got gets stronger and gets trample. We're going to lose Kodama, so that's not even going to be a thing anymore. So I'm sure there's other mono green decks that are okay, even though green is the weakest color at the moment. But Kodama is definitely a green card that I've liked the most. Liked quite a lot, maybe not the most. We've got Topiary Stomper, so really, really important ramp piece for kind of Atraxa ramp and other ramp decks. That's going to be gone. Also, just important for dinosaurs, because dinosaurs are a pretty big thing at the moment. Then Titan of Industry is going to go. I don't know if it's like the best green creature, but it's had a long time in Standard where it's been really, really useful and people have used it a lot. That's going to go now. I use that in my Teemo ramp deck as well, because sometimes you want to have a big thing that can gain your life and be less flexible, make an extra creature, destroy an artifact or enchantment. So many things it can do. And having reach and trample and everything as well is great. But we're losing it. Okay, and then we've got some colorless cards. Unlicensed Hearse, I don't see a huge amount, but sometimes it's the kind of thing you need to deal with graveyard combo decks. So we're going to lose one pretty powerful way of removing pieces in the opponent's graveyard 2 at a time at instant speed, and obviously gains a lot of power. It really does build up power pretty quickly. So we're going to lose that. And Celestus is probably the best colorless card that we're going to lose. Really good in combo decks. It's great. It it ramps you with the mana. It can help draw cards. It can help gain life. So it's so powerful, and we're losing that one as well. Now we're going to go on to the colorless cards. We've got Denick, which is mostly part of Rafine decks or Soldier decks. We're going to lose that. I use that in my Soldier deck at the moment. Yeah, pretty sad to be losing Denick. Really powerful creature. We've got Faithful Mending, which is really good, again, for the kind of graveyard combo, sifting through your deck kind of things. But yep, we're losing that. Blood Tithe Harvester. I use this a lot in my Rakdos mid-range deck. So much value for 2 mana, get a 3/2 and the blood token and potential removal. So yeah, sadly gone. Oni Cold Anvil, I hate this card so much. I think it's because I don't enjoy the play style if I'm playing it. It's easy to miss triggers, but also it's just really slow and like grindy. So I'm really happy this is going. It's great for budget decks. So I mean, you might be sad it's going if you like budget decks and if you like this kind of sacrifice playstyle. But yeah, finally it's going. And then Jukai Naturalist. This is probably the biggest one in the enchantment deck because it makes the enchantments cheaper. It's an enchantment itself. The life link is really important. We're losing that. So yeah, enchantment decks are completely gone. Kaito Shizuki is a really good planeswalker for, again, sifting through your deck, doing things like reenacting the crime with Breach the Multiverse, or just generally Dimir control type decks. They're going to lose a really important planeswalker. As well as Ob Nixilis going. Again, this one isn't one I see that much at the moment, but there's some really cool things you can do with it. Yeah, and you don't see it quite so much these days, but it's a really frustrating one to play against, and it's going to be gone. Slogok, I don't use very much. I haven't seen a huge amount, but I know that some professional people have made really, really good decks with Slogok, and it hasn't done too badly when you know what you're doing with it. But again, the play style of it is really kind of that's not the word is. The play style is really fidgety. Discarding lands or returning lands to your hand, removing counters. I don't tend to play much with it, especially probably because I don't like blue that much as a color, and green and blue is probably my least favorite combo, color combination, maybe. But yeah, so it's going to be gone. Now, Rafine, this might be one of the biggest ones that has an impact on standard. Some professional players have been asked recently, or quite often, what their favorite card is, or the most powerful card in standard, and Rafine keeps coming up as something that pro players really think is powerful, and it's not surprising that it's seen as such a powerful creature. The Ward 1 can be really annoying, even though it's just one, just that extra mana. If you don't have it, you can't do anything about it. Cut Down could get rid of it on the first turn that it comes out if it doesn't start conniving and gets bigger. So yeah, it's hard to get rid of. We've got Long Goodbye now, which could get rid of it and is probably the best answer to Rafine, but maybe it doesn't see that much play. So Rafine is pretty resilient and can just make things snowball. Now with the Deep Cavern Bats and with lots of other cards. I mean, I use Rafine on my other account, on my second account. I don't think I even have. I might have one or two copies. I obviously have at least one. I might have like 2 copies of Rafine on my main account. I hardly ever use it. I hate playing against it. But yeah, really powerful deck is going to be gone. Esper Legends. And then Colossal Sky Turtle, a great budget card. Again, do lots of things with graveyards, returning things. Yeah, I really like this one. But it's gonna go. Okay, and then that's all the main color cards. Then we have the lands. Now, lands are really important that we're going to lose. So we're going to lose all of the Kamigawa channel lands, which can do all kinds of various things. The best one is probably, I don't know, maybe a Ganjo, maybe Boseiju. Tokenzen probably the least, I don't know. But you basically would include at least one of these in any deck that uses these colors because it's just, a free extra flexibility in a land and there's no drawback because it still comes in untapped. And you can't counter them because it's channeling, it's not a spell. They're so good, but they're all going. So that's going to be a big hit. And then we also have all these 2-color slow lands that come in untapped if they're the third or later land that you play. So a massive thing for multicolor decks, but we now have pain lands for, I think it's all the decks, all the different color combinations. We now have the fast lands as well. So it really enables those kind of faster decks, more aggro decks, and it's going to take away from all these slower decks. And that's all 10 color combos. So they are going to go. And then we also have the new Capenna triomes, or 3 color lands, which are really important for things like Leyline Binding, and really important for domain control decks or domain ramp decks. So we're going to lose all of those. It's going to make a huge difference in those type of decks as well. And then, are you tired of seeing these sacrifice lands come in, gain life, and the Aftermath Analyst bring them all back? Well, all of these lands are going as well. Really, really great budget lands. But they're from New Capenna, which was ages ago, so they're going to go. And we're also going to lose Secluded Courtyard, which is from Kamigawa and really helps enable creature type focus decks, tribal decks, typal decks, whatever you want to call them, because they can help you cast creatures of a certain type or activate their abilities using mana of any color. So great for 5-color angels or 5-color legends, human legends. But yeah, it's all gone. So we're going to lose those. So the most important thing to remember is all of these cards, especially the rares and the mythics, are probably ones you don't want to craft, because when Bloomburrow comes out, which is the end of July, which is only in 10 weeks from me recording this video, so whenever you're watching this, end of July, these things are not going to be in standard anymore. So if you use a rare or mythic wildcard to craft any of these, you're only going to get at most 10 weeks of use out of it. Whereas cards that come out that are new out now, you might get 3 more years of usage. Or cards that come out in Bloomburrow, use your mythic and rare wild cards there, and you're going to have cards you can use for the next 3 years. So you're going to get a lot more value out of your wild cards. But if you have these cards already, maybe it's time to bring them back and play around with them again to see what you can do in standard with them, because time is running out really quickly. And one last thing you might be wondering is, what are the 12 cards in my sideboard in this deck? Well, these are the cards that you might be hoping would rotate that aren't rotating yet. You probably can't wait to leave standard. So these are the cards that, yeah, you're probably hoping would leave. But we've got another year of these. We've got Monastery Swift Spear for another year. Temporary Lockdown, really frustrating if you like Boros Convoke or kind of small aggro decks, mono red. Temporary Lockdown is a really hard one to deal with. 40 Jin is only came out in Dominaria. So yeah, we've got another year yet. And Shieldred the Apocalypse, which it feels like it's been out forever already. Yes, we have another year to wait for that. Knight Errant of Eos, really good for Boros Convoke and other mono-white human kind of decks. Sunfall, one of the best board wipes, being able to exile things and make the Incubator token. That's going soon. Well, soon. That's going next year. We've got Leyline Binding, again, the domain decks. Going to lose this really, really powerful 1 mana instant removal, effectively. The Rock Priest seems to be one of the most hated cards at the moment. I don't see it very often. When you do see it, yes, sometimes there's nothing you can do to stop it beating you, but that's kind of the case with pretty much any card. It's really powerful, but yeah, we've got it for another year. Liliana of the Veil. Yes, it's a really powerful one. Obviously, a really powerful Planeswalker. It can really lock you down at the beginning if you can't remove it. Day 1 creature return, and it can pretty much make you sacrifice it, or they can murder it with something else. So, really frustrating one. Jace, the Perfected Mind. Pretty much every mill deck at the moment is just a Jace deck. I don't know of any mill decks that don't have Jace in, or they're not a mill deck. So if you hate milling, Jace is going to go next year, although I'm sure by that point we'll have other milling decks in standard anyway, so milling is still going to be a thing. You'll just have to get used to it. Breach the Multiverse, really, really powerful card. It's probably one of my favourite big black cards since, Invoke Despair disappeared. It does huge amounts, but yeah, we've got it around for another year. And then Atraxa, probably the one most people are getting tired of a little bit because it's so powerful and it's so hard to deal with. Drawing all those cards and, Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, how are you going to beat that? It's a big one. But yeah, all these cards, we are going to have to wait another year for them to go because they're not going yet. But these other cards are. So, like I said, if you want to use wildcards to craft any of these, feel free to do it. You've still got a year of them left, so it's not a massive deal. Anything on this screen here, you probably don't want to craft. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Which are the ones that you are most happy to see go, and which are the ones that you are most upset about losing from your standard decks? But standard has to change. That's just the nature of the format. It's quite fun for me for things to keep changing. I quite like the fact that, it doesn't stay the same. So maybe, I don't know, if you prefer Explorer or Historic and you like things to stay the same, maybe Standard isn't for you. But if you like to play Standard, if you're a budget player where Standard is possibly one of the best places to be, then you just need to be aware that things will change and things will move on. So that's all we've got time for in this video about rotation. Let me know if you have any other questions about rotation in the comments as well, and I'll try to respond to you, or other people can respond to you about that. And thanks for watching this video to the end. I will see you in the next one.